at this time, we have an author coming on. His name is Jason Drake, and he is the author of You Stay Classy, Wedding People. Let's bring him on the line at this time. I'd like to have him join us. Jason, are you with us?
I am here. Thank you for having me.
Welcome to our show tonight. Oh, you're welcome. So, Jason, you got to tell us all about this book, because you had sent it to me, and it's a pretty amazing book, really funny. You got to tell me all about this. What got you into writing the book?
Thank you. For those that don't know, I have a side job as a wedding videographer. I've been doing it since 2005. And every wedding, the vendors and I would get together for dinner, and we'd swap our crazy stories. Every time I tell a story, people would laugh. So not just being satisfied with that, I would have to add my 2 cents in and do jokes and impressions and make the story funnier. I guess it comes from my upbringing, as I'm a half Irish, half sarcastic on my mother's side. And eventually, somebody at the table would say that they should write a book. And so I did, and this is it. It's a collection of all my crazy wedding stories, but it's more than just that. This book has many objectives. It tells crazy stories, but it's also a venue for me to do straight comedy. And there are a ton of pop culture movie references, because I am a walking encyclopedia of 80s movies. But the biggest part is it's also a what not to do for future brides, so that way people can learn. So I've read other people's wedding stories, and they were just depressing. So I wanted this to be fun. I don't want it to be like other how-to book that makes you feel like you're in high school again. This is a fun, funny book that has advice, and it will make you laugh.
It's also really unique because you're very smart as far as looking into movies. Like, you use a lot of movie quotes. Like, it's really interesting because you have a unique way, I believe, of writing and involving things that you've seen. Yeah. Have you always been able to do that?
Well, yeah. When you watch Empire Strikes Back 186 times, you're bound to pick up a quote or two. And as people have told me, well, that's useless information. You should put other things in your head. But no, I decided to keep this, and it's finally working for me. So I have that going.
So you can watch a lot of TV and make something great out of it. For all those movie buffs out there. Yeah. Perfect excuse to sit back and just watch every movie you possibly can. Write down those quotes.
Yeah. And if you like pop culture trivia, just about every paragraph has a reference of some sort.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And, that's what makes it fun is you really put a lot of that into it, and also comparison between famous people. And I thought that was funny. I thought that was really unique, that these people well enough to be able to do something like that. Yeah. So,
yeah, thanks. And another cool thing is I retrofit some of the movie scenes. If there's a wedding story that happens to correlate to a movie scene, I will retrofit it for the story. As an example, I almost played drums for a wedding band because their drummer was under the weather, and I'm using air quotes for under the weather. And I'm a musician, I play guitar and I sing, and I'm an excellent air drummer. But I've never actually played on a live show on a real drum kit. So I took the scene from Aliens when they were going down to the planet, and their lieutenant had never actually had any live drops. So I basically redid the scene, but made it for me being in a band playing drums.
Wow, interesting. Now, you have like a ton of different talents from what I have read.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And, it's writing is just another big talent, I believe, that you have. Now, you also edited your book. Was that correct? Yourself?
Yes. Yes, I did it. I had never edited a book before. I taught myself. It took a year. And I had to because regular editors don't really get my humor, and they would wouldn't get the jokes, and sometimes I play loose with the language. I will spell things wrong on purpose to make a joke, and they wouldn't get that. So for example, sometimes I type with a Canadian accent. What's that about? And they would go correct it. So that's no longer funny if, I'm going, what's that about? And okay, yeah, what is it about? I don't know. So I felt the only way for me to really make this work was to do it myself. Otherwise, I'd be on the phone with the editor every 10 minutes going, no, that's intentional, no, that's intentional, and so on.
Right. But it's so much fun to read your book, and I'm not getting married or anything like that, but it's just to anyone out there, this isn't a book just because you're getting married, do's and don'ts. This is a book that's just full of memoirs of what he has learned videographing, right? And the scenarios go down. It's hilarious. It's so funny, and I really, suggest anyone to get this book and just read it. It's hilarious. And, some of the things that happen. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, even though it's titled Weddings and it does feature wedding stories, it's basically just a springboard for me to do my material. I have a reference index in the back because my mom read it, and she's like, that's very nice, dear, but I don't understand any of your jokes. So any reference that I use in the book, I put an index in the back so I can explain who it is, and that gives me a venue then to shoehorn in material that wouldn't really fit into a book about wedding stories. I review a couple Flash TV shows, the Fant Four Stick movie, and so on.
I'm just amazed at all the different funny stories that come from what people get, when they're getting married. Sometimes you go to a wedding and you think everything's so perfect, and the way you interpret things is really funny, and I just enjoy that.
Thank you.
I just have fun.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's crazy. You get dressed up, you get all your relatives to fly in, you spend all this money. It's such a big production, and you think that would bring out the best in people, and it actually does the worst, or the opposite. It brings out the worst in people. But it makes for a fun time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, how long did it take you to write this book?
It took about 2 years to write, 1 year to edit, and honestly, if I didn't force myself to stop, I would still be writing it because I shoot weddings pretty much every weekend in the summer, and almost every weekend there's something that comes up that I could always add, so I kind of had to just stop and say this is it, otherwise it'd never get done.
And I know this is a silly question, but I'm going to ask it. You have never seen the perfect wedding, have you?
Oh, yeah. Don't get me wrong. Most weddings actually go off without a hitch. If as an author, if I want to look for material, I don't have to look far to find it. But in terms of train wrecks, most of them actually run pretty well. It's just, the couple that don't that really make for juicy stories. And actually, there's a couple weddings that are in several different chapters of the book. So they were grand slams.
Brian, did you have anything to say? Sometimes I keep asking all the questions and I talk and I leave Brian in the dust. So I'm sorry, Brian. I'll let you talk to Jason.
Yeah, no, I listened to the show that he was on with you when you did Sherri Clip after our show that night there. So I was very interested. So I did do a lot of posting mid-show to let people know about him and in the book. I thought it was absolutely hilarious because I've never heard of anyone writing a book about what they've seen or experienced at a wedding before. So it's something different and unique, totally. So I
thank you.
Definitely have. I definitely have to get my hands on it. So. Yeah.
Well, it's something that the vendors would always talk about doing. Oh yeah, we should. They should write a book, but nobody ever did. And I saw once in a Yahoo a Yahoo thing where they did crazy wedding stories, and like I said, it was really sad and depressing. I'm like, yeah. But yeah, as far as I know, nobody's written a book about crazy wedding stories. I'm sure they have, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, no, I've never seen anything like that. So yeah, this is the first I'm hearing of it. Wish I thought of it, but yeah. Now, is there more stories than what you've told so far? Like, is there technically another book that you could do?
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, every weekend stuff happens where, if I want to talk about it, I can make it happen. So yeah, I mean, if this book does really well, there's already a sequel planned.
Oh. Okay. That's good.
When that one gets done, I'm going to want it, and I want it signed.
The only thing that might be different is the first book was about 13 years of wedding stories, so it's only been a few years since then. So I probably wouldn't have enough material to make it all about weddings. So unfortunately, I would just have to talk more about myself and just do more material and all the funny things that have happened to me in my life, which people might get a kick out of.
Right? Oh, I'm sure. Now, what other things have you done? Can you share with us?
Oh, sure. I had a cable access TV show in Chicago for 10 years or 9 years. We had 88 celebrities appear on our show, which, as far as I know, had never ever happened before. And so that was kind of neat. We got a lot of mainstream press coverage for a cable access show, which, again, hadn't really happened. We were like Wayne's World, except intentionally funny. But one of those things, it just didn't quite click. We didn't quite know the right people. So, and it was also a hobby, something I did on my spare time. I mean, so unfortunately, real life happens, and there's only so much time you can devote to a TV show. So, we still occasionally put up new interviews on our YouTube channel, but we don't do it weekly like we used to.
Right. It definitely is time consuming. I used to do a cable access TV show too, and it definitely is time consuming. Yeah. So, do you have any future projects coming up?
Oh yeah, absolutely. One I'd like to do is I have a great idea for a Justice League book. So somebody needs to tell DC Comics. And this isn't just wishful thinking. This is a fully fleshed out idea. I have 16 issues. 5 are completed, plots for another 11, and 3 full covers are completed. So this is something that's ready to go right now. I just need somebody to do my legwork for me.
Right. Well, this is a great start, is getting on podcasts and really being able to, talk about it and get it out there. So if any of our listeners want any more information, get in touch with Jason Drake. Jason, where can they find you?
I am on Facebook, and the book itself, You Stay Classy Wedding People, is on Amazon. But I have a Facebook page for myself, and there's a Facebook page for the book. All the press that I've done is on both of those pages, if anyone would like to see. And that's about it.
Well, I'll definitely help you try to get this book out there even more. We'll talk about it again. Hopefully we can have you back on again with your future project as well. That would be awesome.
Yay.
And so you got to stay in touch with us. And, when you plan on writing or doing your other book, get in touch with us as well. We'd love to talk about it. Do you have anything else that you'd like to share with us about your book?
Well, like I said, if you like long walks on the beach, if you like to laugh, then this is for you. And even if you don't and you're bored, this is still for you. So it's not just about weddings. This is a flat out comedy book. So check it out.
definitely. Yeah, like you said, you still do the videographing as well.
Yeah.
Are you looking to have people contact you at all about that in your area?
Oh, absolutely. I film weddings. My services are available. I book up quick, but yeah, if somebody wants their wedding filmed correctly, this is the place.
That's great. And do you have a name for your business for that?
The name of my business is Jade Productions, Jade. And like I said, you can get me on Facebook.
Awesome. Very good. Well, Jason, I really think we went over a lot of your book today, and, thank you so much for coming on. And, what, Brian?
Oh, no problem. I appreciate you having me.
Sure.
You already asked about future projects, right? Or did I miss that?
Yeah, no. He talked about that.
Oh, my goodness.
Brian's losing it, Jason.
Yeah. No, I had been listening, but for some reason yeah. Well, I keep looking over at Facebook Live because people are,
I see that comment.
Yeah, they're commenting and talking and stuff. So, yeah.
Well, there's a lot more unique things about this too. Is there's original illustrations. I mean, even the credits page has jokes. So this is my goal was to do a joke, a paragraph, and I came pretty close.
Yeah, you really did. And did you draw the illustrations yourself as well?
I did. All the illustrations are original, done by me. While they are in the style of clip art, no actual clip art was used, but it was just something that I liked. It was a style choice on purpose, and so I think it works. There's a lot of illustrations that people recognize.
Yeah. There is. I didn't realize you did all the illustrations yourself. You definitely are like the most talented person I've met, I think. Because the illustrations in this book are really super. They're fantastic.
Oh, thank you. You're too kind.
And do you do that on the side as well?
What's that?
Clip art for things? Or do you create clip art for any sort of app or anything?
No, I don't do that. I mean, I'm an artist, so I thought that would be funny for the style of the book. Would be something generic like that. I thought it fit the comedy well.
Right. Oh yeah, like the brooding mantis. I think that's hilarious with the camera. It's just funny.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, for the people that are listening, there was. Yeah, for the excuse me, and for the people that are listening, there was a photographer who I worked with once, a very nice guy, and I almost hate to include him in this, but I'm gonna. He was very tall, and maybe 6'6", 6'4", and he liked to dance during general dancing while he's shooting pictures. He'd be grooving to the music, and he'd be getting down, and it looked really funny to see somebody of that height, extending all of his limbs. And he looked like a combination of Groot and a praying mantis, a praying Brutus, if you will. Or is that a grooting mantis? I'm not quite sure, but either way, it was quite something to see. So.
Oh, it's just so funny. Because I'm looking at the picture, and I can imagine someone, definitely dancing and looking like that. But I'm going to ask you something here. What is your favorite story? Can you share that with us? What are your experiences?
Geez, you're going to make me choose between one of my children. That's a tough one. Well, one people seem to like a lot is the Tupperware guy. I had a photographer once. I was seated for dinner with the photographer at a guest table, There were several guests there, and they were serving family style, which, if you don't know, is one plate of one course, and there'll be several plates, and everyone takes from it. So after everyone was done, the photographer asks, "Hey, is everybody done here?" And we're like, yeah. And he proceeds to pull out several bags of Tupperware. And we all just kind of look at him with this really shocked look on our face, you know, like if somebody said Kanye West was a musical genius, you know, that kind of look. And he proceeded to dump all 5 plates into his never-ending pasta bowl. And then the server came by, and she's like, "Can I get you anything?" And he's like, "Yeah, another plate of each." And he did it again. So I had told this story to another photographer who did not know I was writing a book, and his response was, "That's classy." So, but before anyone thinks that I sit on my high horse and judge, there is an author screw-up chapter. I mean, a videographer chapter. So not only am I the president of my book, I'm also a client.
Now, can you share with us a little bit about what happened with you?
Oh, share some of my crazy stories. Let's see. Well, in Chicago, it's usually pretty cold or crappy weather for 12 months out of the year. Either it's raining or it's freezing or it's 100 degrees out. So when it's not snowing, I like to wear my sandals. And one particular time, I would always keep my dress shoes in the car. And one particular time, I drove out to my wedding, and I realized that some moron forgot to put his dress shoes in his car. So I had to work a wedding in a tuxedo and some Adidas sandals. Very classy. But they were black and they matched, so I had that going for me. Which is nice.
That's good. Did anyone comment?
A couple. Well, it was actually a quinceañera, I believe, and some of the kids snickered. But I went to the father and I kind of explained what happened. So
sure, they're okay with that. Yeah.
But it's the book is a very quick read. Each story is maybe a couple paragraphs or a page. But there is a special Zilla chapter, a Bridezilla, a Groomzilla, and a Famzilla. And those stories tend to run about 10 to 12 pages because they didn't just do one thing to get in here. They had to do many.
Oh.
So if you want an example, there was one groom who showed up to his ceremony in a chauffeured Rolls Royce. And I may have told this story last time. I don't remember. I have the memory of a dead elephant, so bear with me. So he shows up in a chauffeured Rolls Royce, and 10 minutes after the ceremony is supposed to start, there's no bride. And all of a sudden, we're on the steps with the priest, and we see a tiny blue Nissan pull up to the church steps. And it's being driven by the bride. So for those of us just joining us, groom has a chauffeured Rolls Royce, and the bride drove herself. The priest was so taken back by it that he had to mention it in the ceremony. And the sad part is that little event right there, that wasn't even in the top 5 of the worst things that this groom did that day.
Oh, no.
Yes.
That's sad. That's a sad story.
Oh, it gets a lot worse.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes, but you'll have to read to find out. See, that's what we like to call a teaser in radio.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. So Groomzillas, I love these names, Bridezillas and Parentzillas, I betcha.
Actually, no. There was a Famzilla, which was a whole family. But I haven't really had one parent go over the top. Most of the parents have been pretty neat or drunk, but none of them have been belligerent or jerks so far.
Oh, that's good. That's very good. Dan Stanley, I don't know if you're on the Facebook Live, but he had wrote that that they didn't encounter as many bride or groomzillas, but we had a lot more parentzillas that caused headaches. So maybe it's a different parts of the United States. I don't know.
Well, I mean, there are stories about moms and dads in this book. There just weren't enough to graduate to that next level. You know, I may have had a crazy mom do one thing or a crazy dad do one thing. I mean, there is a crazy drunk dad story in here and, you know, if I probably could have made him a Zilla, but he just, I don't know. These other people just took it so over the top that they got the title.
Oh,
but yeah, no, I do run into those type of parents, but it's compared to the 3 Zillas here, nobody else has come close. And my drunk dad, he only got like 2 pages. So if I could have squeezed another 8 pages out of him, then I would have given him the title.
Next time. Oh. Dan says we had trouble with the mothers who would step all over the bride and groom with micromanaging the details. They were more worried about their child's wedding being perfect, and having blue napkins was that perfection. Stop the world, go get blue napkins. Oh. So yeah, I can see where parents would want to have their child have the perfect wedding, but kind of step back too and let them handle.
I actually had one where the bride and groom did not want a video, but the mom did. So that made things really tense and awkward. I was given a list of rules of things I could and could not do. I pretty much had to stay out of the way because the bride just didn't want it, but the mother did. And the ironic thing is because I had to be out of the way, I couldn't take the money shots that I normally take to make it look good, and then therefore the bride could go, see, this is a waste of time. It's stupid. So there's been a lot of shoots like that where they were tense, very tense, and a possible fight was going to break out at any moment, unfortunately.
Have you ever seen a fight break out?
Yes.
Oh.
I was almost in one of it. And then, not to spoil the Groomzilla story, but that was one of the things that almost happened.
Oh no! You've got expensive equipment. Yeah. You can't be involved in that.
Well, not only did I almost get a fight with him in person, I almost got into a fight with him on the phone before the wedding. That's how much of a jerk he was. So this is one of the top 5 things. The guy gets on the phone, and when he calls my office to hire a service, the first thing he said to the office was, I'm not paying for a meal for the vendor. And it's like, wow, okay. You know, do you go tell your waitress I'm not going to tip you before you have the order? I mean, it's crazy that you would go solicit a service and then put a demand like that. And he hired me for 12 and a half hours. So it's like, you know, I'm not a robot. I need to eat, idiot. So the compromise was that I would get an hour break. So on the pre-wedding phone call, he's like, I don't like the idea of paying you not to work. I'm like, well, you can give me dinner. They're $300 a plate. I'm like, well, I don't believe you, but okay. You know, the phone call was that tense. I thought we were going to fight on the phone.
Wow.
You know, he's a really, really great guy. I recommend him.
Oh, yeah. Well, good thing you only had to deal with him once, right?
So far, yes. Yes. Nobody from his wedding party has recognized the story yet, so I'm safe for now.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, because that was only number 5 on the... Go ahead. They don't know what happens?
See, they don't happen... People don't know what happens with you and, like, the things you see. You know, that's what's really interesting, that this comes from your point of view. Because you're really the one who's out there in front of everyone, you know, catching all this stuff. And I'm sure you probably, I did read, without getting into it, I'm spoiling it, is that you videotaped some stuff you were not expecting to videotape. And,
oh, no.
You know, you see everything. You hear everything.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you know, when you're filming something, a lot of times I'm looking at everything but what I'm actually filming. You know, I'm checking the tape counter, how much tape do I have left, what's my white balance, you know, all these little technical things, making sure that what I'm filming is correctly being filmed. And really, the last thing I look at was what's actually happening. You know, I'll frame it, and then I'll just check all my numbers. Is everything good? You know, and most importantly, is it even recording? Because that has happened where sometimes you forget to hit record because you're an idiot. But anyway, yeah. So the subject is usually the last thing I look at, and there was one instance where we were outside filming, doing pictures, and all of a sudden the bridal party starts yelling, like, woo, they're cheering. And so I just start shooting. I see a bride running, like, off in the distance, or not a bride, a bridesmaid. And she runs to a bush, and before I knew what happened, she pulled her dress up and squatted and had to use the bathroom. So I was like, whoa. So that was the only time I actually stopped, and I backed up the tape and recorded over it because, you know, it's one of those things. I'm not even going to try explaining that one to the office. That never happened.
So always choose somewhere where there's restrooms, people.
Yeah. The little advice I like to give ladies is try not to take your clothes off on camera.
Oh, that's funny. One of our listeners says you need a pack of crackers in your coat pocket, just in case you don't get a meal.
Need to pack what in the? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
A pack of crackers in your coat pocket.
Oh, crackers.
A pack of crackers. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I usually do my Burger King lunch of 2 giant chicken sandwiches and a double cheeseburger, but that only lasts me till about 6 o'clock, and so I'm really looking for the hors d'oeuvre lady, and I have a whole chapter on trying to get appetizers because that's another fun thing. The hall sometimes thinks that I work for them and don't want to give me any, and I'm like, I've been working since 10 o'clock. It's now 7:30. I'm hungry. Feed me.
Yeah. Right. People, if you're going to have an event and have a videographer there, think about them eating too.
Yeah, it's something little. You don't. Do you want me worrying about shooting all the special moments and not missing anything, or do you want me worried about what I'm going to eat and where am I going to go? I mean, it's just common sense. You know, I'm with you for usually 8 to 10 hours. Feed me.
True, and you're working. I mean, you're actually doing something. Of course, you're going to be hungry.
Well, yeah, and technically, I think some laws are being broken. I may have to contact my local alderman. You know, 8 straight hours with no break. Mm-hmm. I may have a case.
Great. Yeah.
Call him Jack McCoy.
Oh, that's funny. Now, you also do a lot of impressions of people, right?
I can do a couple, yes.
I've heard you. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I haven't heard anything to Jason.
Doing voices are fun. I have a 2-year-old now, so one of the things we get to a lot is Sesame Street. So I get I'm Grover 2.0. I showed up. Least you could do is have me some appetizers. So for all you Sesame Street fans.
Yeah.
And the funny thing though is I think Grover is related to Yoda. I think he's like a distant cousin or something. That's pretty much the same. I know it's the same guy that did the voice, but it's practically the same voice. I'm wondering, why are you here?
That's good. That's very good.
Thanks. And actually, the book has a lot of printed impressions that you wouldn't think that you could do. I mean, I even have a printed Sean Connery impression. Hello.
That's good. That's very good.
Oh, thanks.
Wow.
Do you ever notice that Sean has a fantastic acting technique? Every movie, same accent. It's like the director comes to him and goes, Sean, okay, this next movie is set in Scotland. Everybody in the movie is Scottish except you. Let me practice my accent. Hello, my name is Ramirez. I'm from Madrid. Now a Russian submarine commander. Helloski. I'm sorry?
No, I never thought about that, but you're so right. You're so right.
But I can't take credit for that, though. That bit was from a British comedian from the 90s, and I wish I could remember his name because it was awesome.
Aw. That's fun. That's good. Now, have you ever done stand-up before?
No, but when I do my book readings, it pretty much is stand-up. A lot of these book readings I go to, people just open their book and they start on page 1 and they drone on for 20 minutes, and, it's really boring. But no, I totally approach this as I'm doing a stand-up. I don't have notes. I rephrase it. I have my notes. I'm not reading from them. And I just go into the jokes. I don't tell the story verbatim, but you get the point. I tell my jokes. People laugh. The only thing that's really missing is to continually push my hair back with a cigarette and go, and what is the deal with that?
Good. Jeez. Very good. Good, right?
Thanks.
I'm having fun. I'm having fun just listening. That's
yay.
I like the. I heard him the last time because I believe he did impressions on your show when I was listening. So yeah, I was well aware he could do impressions. So very good too. So a lot of people are enjoying them at the moment here. So
yay. Yeah, it's fun. I love doing voices, and I could do a lot. Just one of those things you gotta keep up on and do it all the time. Otherwise, you kind of lose it. At least I do. But I love doing voices, and as I continue to do these readings, which is basically stand up, I would love to do an actual stand up where I'm going to do material for the show, and one thing I love about comedians is how they can just take that and run with it. They can do. I'm going to do my Sean Connery, and then I'm going to put him in a situation, and then just do a whole thing, and it's hilarious. So that's something I like to strive for, like to have a conversation with Bane, Eric Cartman, Stewie, and Shaggy, and Scooby-Doo. I think that'd be kind of fun.
Ooh. Yeah. Okay, let's hear Scooby.
Actually, I haven't done that one in a while. So I think I pulled a muscle on that one.
Oh no!
Hey, Scoob!
That's good. Hey, Scoob. I can't do it.
Actually, a good pairing would be Scooby. A good pairing would be Scooby and Anakin Skywalker, because Scooby's so animated. This is where the fun begins, Master. You have two polar opposites talking. I'd like to see that as a buddy cop show, Scooby-Doo and Anakin Skywalker.
That'd be something. Dan Payne says you should do voice work for audiobooks. Various voices from one person lowers the price. And
Okay.
one of our other listeners, Jerry, he's a stand-up comedian, and he says pretty intense on stage. And then Jerry also said Luke Daniels, commenting to Dan's voice work for audiobooks.
Sure,
So,
I'll do most things where I get paid. I'm very interested in getting paid. I'm a big fan of money. I celebrate their entire catalog.
There you go, Dan, for one of your books. Now you know someone, Jason Drake.
Yay!
There you go.
Yay!
That's awesome. Very good. So, Brian, did you want to say something? My screen froze, so I didn't. You look like you're trying to say something. So.
No, absolutely not. No.
Oh, okay.
No.
All right.
I'm reading the comments. So.
Oh, Dan Payne saying, or perhaps a book you guys have, hint, hint. Jason, just so you know, Brian and I are doing voiceovers for one of Daniel Payton's books, and he's
cool.
kind of hinting around a book that we have, and to have you do one of the voices for it.
Okay.
Maybe. There we go, Brian. We're looking for that third person. We need a narrator, right? Wasn't that what we were looking for?
Yes. Narrator, yeah. And Dan's part, because Dan doesn't want to. He doesn't have time to do his part. So there's also Dan's part, yeah, because he's in the book. So it's fun when we are characters in a book. So technically, we're doing the voices to our own characters. So because we were written into books as part of a challenge, I challenged authors to write Sherri and I as the main characters of a story, of a short story. And Daniel did that multiple times, as a matter of fact. So there's more than one book. And because The Winter Wizard, that's the name of the book, is a short story, it's very easy for us to do an audiobook for it and pretty much play our own part. But unfortunately, we have to find other people to fill those other roles. So, yeah. So that's what we're working on right now.
Yay. Well, I'm always up for other roles. You know who would be a good narrator for a book? Would be Sylvester Stallone. I think he'd be a good narrator for a book. Hey, why don't you try knocking me down? This is a book, right? It's a book with pages.
That is so funny. Good job. Wow. I don't know, Dan. What do you think of Sylvester Stallone being the narrator of Winter Wizard? That's funny. So, Brian, what do you think? That's funny, right?
Sylvester Stallone as narrator, I could see that happening.
I mean, we got this story, right? It's a story, and it starts, and then it ends, right? My ring's outside.
That was so funny. Oh my gosh, my stomach hurts. Oh my gosh, too funny. Dan says it would be interesting.
Yeah.
Jerry says Rambo narrates books. They drew first draft.
They drew first draft, not me.
That's funny. Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. I'm going to cry. My eyes are watering so bad right now. It's funny. You are good, Jason. I love it.
Yay, thank you.
What's your favorite voice to do? Do you have like an all-time favorite you use often, or?
Yeah, my favorite is Sean Connery.
Okay.
I like Yoda. One of the cool things with having having a small child is they like to read a lot of books, so I get to practice all my impressions. And we have a Star Wars ABC 3PO book, and they do the ABCs with all the Star Wars characters. And so instead of reading the garbage that they put for each one, I would just do an impression for each character.
Oh, fun.
Yes.
Oh. It's like narrating a book, sort of. That's got to be so much fun to sit there and listen to you read one of those. You should record it. There you go. There's YouTube video.
Because my daughter doesn't like it then when her mom reads it, because she doesn't do any voices, and she's just like, no, you got to do voices.
That's right. That's right. You got the voices going on. Who wants regular reading, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's funny. My grandkids watch YouTube videos all the time of this ridiculous stuff. I think you should do YouTube videos with your child reading. You probably would make a lot of hits that way. But Jason Drake, thank you so much. You can find your book on Amazon called You Stay Classy Wedding People. And we'll have to have you back on again once you reach your next project. And
yay!
If anyone has any questions,
I'll work on my Scooby-Doo impression. It is better.
Definitely. Well, you'll have to come back and share it with us. That's all. We love having everyone come back. So.
Absolutely.
Yay. Yeah, so if you like to laugh, get the book. It's on Amazon. There's even a printed Rodney Dangerfield impression.
Oh. Definitely have to hear that one.
It's a printed impression.
Yeah? Oh, okay. So read that one.
Yes. Bet you didn't think somebody could do a printed impression, but I can tell you that it's possible and it's been done.
Nice. And it's not Braille. That's printed impression.
No.
Never mind.
No.
No. Okay. All right.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks again, Jason Drake, for coming on our show tonight. We so appreciate it, and I love having the chance to talk to you and interview you again. I am the luckiest person in the world right now. So, yeah. So keep in touch, and we'll have you on again. You have yourself a great night, and thank you so much for sharing all of your info with us.